Welcome to the Deep Dive. This is where we take a whole stack of fascinating sources, articles, sometimes even academic papers, and really dig in to pull out the key insights so you get up to speed fast.
Yep, making you instantly informed.
Exactly. And today, wow, we are plunging into something that's been making serious waves online. And maybe more surprisingly, it's even landed smack bang in the pages of Vogue. We're talking about synthetic fashion models, entirely AI generated.
It's really a striking moment, isn't it? It captures this mix of sheer wonder and honestly a kind of deep unease.
Yeah.
And the focus really is on this AI marketing firm, Serafin Valora. They've managed to propel these digital beings, these, well, creations, right into the mainstream.
And they are flawless.
Ethereal.
Staring out from ads, filling up social media, and, like you said, the big one appearing in a Guess advert in Vogue, the August print edition, no less.
Right, and the public reaction. Pretty much what you'd guess. On one hand, there's this definite awe, like, look at this perfect, almost otherworldly beauty.
But then, yeah, there's this immediate apprehension, this feeling of, is this right? It's artificial. It's not human.
Exactly. And Serafin Valora, they do nod to that artificiality. There's a small watermark. Tiny, really. It says AI generated.
You really have to squint to see it, though. It feels like it's just enough to say they did it, but not enough to, shatter the illusion immediately.
Precisely. And that feeling, that mix of fascination and, well, creepiness, perhaps, that's exactly what William L. Weaver tackles in his essay, The Uncanny Valley of Vogue. That's our main source here.
The uncanny valley. That term itself is so evocative, that feeling when something is almost human but just off.
Exactly. It makes you uneasy. And Weaver argues that focusing on the surface stuff, like, oh no, AI is taking models' jobs, or it's all fake, that misses the bigger picture.
A deeper point.
The much deeper point. Weaver suggests this unease, this uncanny valley reaction, it's just a symptom of a much larger shift that's been happening for a long, long time.
Okay, so that's our mission for this deep dive then, to unpack that. To show how Serafin Valora's work, as startling as it seems, isn't really this sudden break from the past.
Right. It's more like the culmination, the logical endpoint, maybe even an inevitable one, of how we've been capturing, curating, and let's be honest, altering images of human beauty for, well, arguably a century.
So we're going to trace that line, follow that trajectory, and see how we ended up here with AI models feeling like just the next step.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's rewind. Because this idea of altering images to make them perfect, it feels very digital, very modern, but it's really not.
Not at all. Weaver makes this point really effectively. For generations, we as a society have accepted, even paid good money for, images of ourselves and others to be systematically altered, made better.
Right. Think about high school senior photos.
Exactly. Weaver contrasts two examples. You had those senior photos where maybe they did some negative touch-ups, removed a spot, tidied some flyaway hair.
The goal was an idealized you, right? Still recognizable, but sort of. Your best self on a good day, polished.
Polished, exactly. Fundamentally you, just perfected for the yearbook. But then on the other, completely different end of the spectrum.
Glamour shots, I remember those. The big hair, the soft focus.
Feather boas, the dramatic makeup, maybe leaning on a prop column. That wasn't about being a better you. That was pure fantasy.
He was constructing this fleeting, perfect moment, a beautiful fiction. You knew it wasn't real life, but people loved it. They paid for that fantasy.
Absolutely. And what both of these things did, the subtle touch-up and the full-blown fantasy, was normalize the idea of altering reality in an image. They set the stage.
They created the cultural acceptance. So when a tool came along that could do this way more efficiently...
We were already primed for it. The precedent was set.
And that tool arrives in 1990, Adobe Photoshop 1.0. And it wasn't exactly cheap software back then.
No way.
Right.
Weaver mentions the price tag, nearly $900, which today, with inflation, is like, what, over $2,000?
Wow. So definitely not for everyone initially. It was niche. For creative professionals, graphic designers, photographers.
Artists. And for them, it was revolutionary. A miracle tool, really. Before Photoshop, manipulating images meant hours, days in a physical darkroom.
Right. Dodging, burning, cutting negatives, chemicals. Incredibly complex and expensive stuff.
Totally. Photoshop took all that painstaking physical work and put it onto a digital screen. Suddenly, complex manipulation was accessible, possible with clicks, not chemicals.
And the initial reaction wasn't fear, was it? It was more amazement.
Pure wonder, not fear, as Weaver puts it. People were just blown away by the capabilities. It was seen as this incredible artistic tool.
But like it was so many powerful technologies, the wonder didn't last unchallenged. As Photoshop got more powerful, more widespread, ethical questions started bubbling up.
Big time. Especially around the idea of photographic truth. And this really hit a boiling point in photojournalism. That's where the image had to be trustworthy, right? A record of reality.
And the flashpoint, the big case everyone remembers, was that 1994 Time magazine cover with O.J. Simpson's mugshot.
Oh, yeah, that was huge. Time was accused of deliberately darkening his skin tone, manipulating the image to make him look more menacing, more sinister, especially when compared to the original mugshot that Newsweek ran untouched on their cover the same week.
It wasn't just a minor tweak. It fundamentally questioned whether you could believe a photograph in a major news magazine anymore. It sparked this huge debate about the truth of the image.
A global reckoning, really. Did photography still represent reality, or could it be shaped to fit any narrative?
So you have the news world grappling with this potential death of photographic truth, and meanwhile, what's happening in the fashion industry?
Completely the opposite reaction. While newsrooms were having ethical debates, fashion, as Weaver says, embraced the new digital reality wholeheartedly.
No hand-wringing there.
None at all. For fashion, Photoshop wasn't a threat. It was a gift. An unbelievable tool for creating aspiration, fantasy, perfection.
And they didn't just use it for minor fixes like getting rid of a pimple. It went way beyond that.
Oh, far beyond. It became a tool for, and this is Weaver's phrase again, profound reconstruction. We're talking major digital surgery.
Like what specifically?
Jaw lines sharpened into impossible angles, teeth whitened to a blinding, unnatural gleam, limbs stretched out, elongated, body shapes completely sculpted.
Waists cinched digitally, skin made absolutely poreless.
Exactly. Things that pushed beyond human possibility. They were sculpting bodies to fit this ever-narrowing template of perfection.
It sounds like the human model stopped being the main subject.
That's the critical conceptual shift Weaver identifies. The model became raw material, a starting point, a scaffold upon which a nearly total fiction is built.
So the person, their unique look, their individuality, that wasn't the point anymore. It was something to be overcome almost, smoothed out, reshaped.
Systematically erased or altered to fit the ideal and the final image, the one you saw in the magazine. Weaver concludes it was often no more real than a digital painting.
A complete construct.
Yeah.
Built with pixels.
A highly constructed reality, miles away from the actual person who posed for the camera. Photoshop wasn't just enhancing, it was creating a new reality. And that groundwork, that decades-long acceptance of profound digital alteration.
It leads us directly back to Seraphine Valora, back to the AI frontier.
Precisely. Their Guess advert in Vogue really thrust them into the limelight. This perfect blonde model in Guess outfits, looking utterly real at first glance.
Until you spot that tiny disclaimer. Created using AI. Hidden away in the corner.
And it's worth noting, Vogue itself clarified this was an ad placement, not their own editorial choice. But still, the first time an AI person appeared in Vogue, that's a landmark.
It absolutely sparked a firestorm of debate. About beauty, about models' futures, about reality itself.
It signaled something new was definitely here.
So who are the people behind Seraphine Valora? This feels like a tech story as much as a fashion one.
It is. The founders are Valentina Gonzalez and Andrea Petrescu, both just 25. And interestingly, their background isn't fashion or tech initially, it's architecture.
Architecture. Huh. Maybe that explains the focus on structure, design, creating ideal forms.
Could be. They've been running the company for about 2 years. And the Guess connection, very modern. Paul Marciano, the Guess co-founder, apparently spotted their work on Instagram and reached out.
Wow. So how does this AI creation actually work? Is it just typing blonde model in Guess dress into a computer?
Not quite. They emphasize it's a complex process. It involves sophisticated AI, yes, trained on massive data sets of images. But for Guess, it wasn't instant. They created 10 different draft models first.
10 options.
Yeah. Marciano reviewed them, gave feedback, and then they picked a brunette and a blonde to develop further. It's iterative.
And they have a team working on this.
5 employees just focused on creating the AI models. And the whole process, from the initial idea to the final campaign-ready image, can take up to a month.
A month. Okay, so it's not push-button magic.
Definitely not. And it's not cheap either. For a client like Guess, they charge, quote, anywhere up to low 6 figures.
Low 6 figures. Okay, so brands are making a significant investment in this. It's a mix of AI tech, artistic direction, prompt engineering.
It's a whole new kind of creation process.
Right. So thinking back to that long history of Photoshop, of digital manipulation we just talked about, Weaver poses this really provocative question in his essay.
The core question, really.
How is a 100% AI model, labeled as AI, fundamentally different from a human model who's been photoshopped so heavily they're basically unrecognizable anyway?
And it's a brilliant question. And Weaver's answer is, well, kind of counterintuitive. His thesis is that the AI model is, paradoxically, more honest.
More honest? How?
Because it doesn't pretend. The heavily photoshopped human model maintains this illusion, right? We're still meant to think, oh, that's a person, even though they've been digitally altered beyond recognition.
Where is the AI model?
The AI model, by having that little watermark, by being openly synthetic, it drops the pretense. It says, I am not real. I am a construct. And that transparency, Weaver argues, is its own kind of honesty.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
The transparency is the honesty.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting way to frame it. It completely flips the script on how we think about creating beauty images.
It really does. Instead of taking a unique human with all their specific features, quirks, flaws maybe, and then spending ages digitally sanding them down, reshaping them to fit some narrow, predefined ideal.
The AI model starts as the ideal, or at least an attempt at it.
Exactly. It can be engineered from the ground up to embody that cultural average, that desired aesthetic, without needing a human starting point to fix.
It bypasses the whole alteration process. It's born perfect in theory.
The ideal, perfectly formed without the need to alter a single human cell, as Weaver puts it. It's an efficiency in achieving that perfect look that Photoshop could only aspire to.
Okay, so it's efficient, it's honest in its fakeness. But Weaver also calls this a disquieting thought. Engineering the ideal like this.
Yes, because it risks, in his words, codifying a monolithic standard of beauty.
Codifying, meaning like setting it in stone, making one narrow look the official standard.
Pretty much. Imagine the AI learning from decades of fashion images, which already have their own biases. It could lock in a very narrow, very specific, often young, thin, white, Eurocentric look as the definition of beauty.
And that makes it harder for anything else to be seen as beautiful.
It could. It potentially marginalizes other forms of beauty, stifles diversity, and reinforces harmful stereotypes. That narrow standard becomes the default, baked into the algorithms themselves.
And this isn't just theory. People working in fashion are worried.
Very worried. Felicity Hayward, she's a well-known plus-size model, been in the industry over 10 years. She had a strong reaction. She told the BBC using AI models feels lazy and cheap.
Lazy and cheap? Why?
She feels it removes the human element, the artistry, the story a real model brings. She suspects guests might be doing it partly for the buzz, the free PR around AI, or just straight-up cost-cutting.
Which hits the workforce.
Exactly. And she found Vogue running the ad very disheartening and quite scary, because she sees it potentially undoing years of hard work fighting for more diversity.
Yeah, she mentioned the progress made in the 2010s, right?
She did, pointing to milestones like Valentina Sampaio, the first openly trans model for Victoria's Secret, Halima Aden wearing a hijab in major campaigns, brands like Rihanna, Savage, X Fenty, really championing different body types, especially plus-size models. Those felt like real breakthroughs.
But she feels things have stalled. Or even gone backwards.
And that's her claim, that the industry has slipped backwards recently, that diverse models aren't getting booked as much. So AI models feel like another kick in the teeth, especially, she says, for plus-size models who are just starting to get real visibility.
It threatens that progress.
Potentially reverses it, is the fear.
So what do the creators, Serafine Valora, say to all this? How do they defend their work?
Well, Gonzalez and Petrescu push back. They insist they don't create unattainable looks. They actually argue the guest model looks quite realistic. And they claim what they do is no different from traditional advertising's pursuit of perfection, using supermodels and heavy retouching. They see their AI as just a different tool for the same goal.
Okay, but what about the diversity issue? The fact their models often look quite similar, fitting that narrow standard.
They do acknowledge that their own company's Instagram feed lacks diversity and does tend to promote those unrealistic standards.
Though they admit that.
Yes, but their explanation is interesting. They say they've tried posting more inclusive images, but, quote, users do not engage much with those posts.
So they're blaming the audience.
Yeah.
The algorithm.
It sounds like it. They say low engagement impacts traction or likes, and ultimately we are a business and use images that will create a conversation and bring us clients. So market demand, they argue, pushes them towards the less diverse images.
That's a tricky justification. And they also mentioned a tech limitation.
Yeah. They also claim the technology is not advanced enough yet to create truly convincing plus-size AI women, which, if true, is a limitation, but also maybe points to gaps in the data the AI was trained on.
Right, which ties into that inherent bias issue in AI generally.
Exactly. It's not just Serafine Valora. Look at that Dove campaign from 2024.
Oh yeah, the one designed to show AI bias.
That's the one. They asked an AI image generator for the most beautiful woman in the world. And what did it spit out?
Image after image of women who looked almost identical. Young, thin, white, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Virtually indistinguishable. And strikingly similar, as you noted, to the Guess AI model. It just perfectly illustrates how AI, if you're not careful, reflects and amplifies the biases in the data it learns from.
And this obviously circles back to the impact on real people. On mental health, body image.
Huge concerns there. Felicity Hayward raised it, and others too. Seeing these literally unattainable images because they're not human could be really damaging. We already know traditional media's unrealistic standards harm mental health.
But this feels different somehow. More extreme.
Vanessa Longley, who's the CEO of the Eating Disorder Charity Beat, she called the Guess ad worrying. She emphasized that exposure to unrealistic bodies affects self-perception, increases body dissatisfaction, and is a known risk factor for eating disorders.
And the key difference here, compared to traditional photoshopping,
is that it doesn't even start with a real person. Traditional airbrushing, however extreme, had a human base. These AI models are created perfect.
free from human flaws, inconsistencies, or uniqueness, as one source put it.
Exactly. And that completely bypasses the whole conversation around authenticity, doesn't it? You have figures like Ashley Graham, Jamila Jamil, Bella Thorne bravely pushing back against excessive editing, demanding unretouched photos.
Advocating for real bodies.
Right. But with an AI model, there's no person there to push back. There's no human body to object to the perfection. The real is gone.
The human voice for authenticity is silenced before it can even speak.
Precisely. And you saw that reflected in social media reactions, too. That mix of awe and just despair.
Yeah, I remember seeing comments like, wow, as if beauty standards weren't impossible enough, now AI makes them literally inhuman. Models can't even compete with this.
It captures that feeling perfectly. The goalpost just got moved off the playing field entirely.
And then there's the transparency issue, or lack thereof. You mentioned the tiny watermark, but is that enough?
Yeah.
Are there rules about this?
Well, that's a problem. In the UK, for example, there's no legal requirement right now to clearly label AI-generated content.
Really? None at all?
Nope. So while Guess did label it, it was, as the BBC said, small and subtle, easily missed. You glance at it, you think it's a real person.
And Synod Boval, the former model turned tech entrepreneur, she called this lack of clear labeling exceptionally problematic.
Yeah, she wrote for Vogue years ago warning about this. She draws a direct line from girls wanting surgery to look like social media filters to now having beauty standards set by beings that are entirely artificial.
The blurring of lines between real, filtered, and completely synthetic is getting extreme.
Dangerously blurred, she argues.
Okay, let's shift perspective a bit. What about the people working in the fashion industry? Beyond the models themselves, what's the economic impact?
Yeah, Sarah Ziff brings this up. She's a former model, founded the Model Alliance. They advocate for workers' rights. Her take is pretty blunt.
What does she think?
She sees the Guess campaign less as innovation, more as desperation and need to cut costs.
Ouch. So she thinks it's primarily about saving money.
That's her interpretation. And she points out that AI doesn't just potentially replace the model and photographer, it threatens the whole ecosystem.
All the other jobs on a photo shoot set.
Exactly. Makeup artists, hairstylists, wardrobe, set designers, lighting crews, techs, assistants, catering. It's a huge team effort. Ziff stresses the need for meaningful protections for workers as AI becomes more common.
So how does Serafine Valora respond to that, the job displacement argument?
They deny they're trying to put people out of work. They frame their tech as supplementary, not a replacement, just another choice for brands.
Supplementary.
Yeah, they even claim they've created jobs, AI artists, developers, etc., and they maintain their process still involves hiring a real model and photographer, at least initially, to see how the clothes look on a real person first.
Okay, so they're saying it's additive, not subtractive. But isn't there a contradiction there?
Yes. This is where it gets awkward for them. While they say it's supplementary in interviews, their own company website tells a different story.
What does the website say?
It explicitly lists cost efficiency as a key benefit, and it says using their AI eliminates the need for expensive setups, MUA artists, venue rentals, stage setting, photographers, travel expenses, hiring models.
Whoa,
Yeah.
That's not supplementary language. That's replacement language.
It's pretty direct. It directly contradicts their public statements and clearly highlights the economic incentive to bypass all those human rules and costs.
That's a significant discrepancy.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that Vogue, the pinnacle of fashion media, ran this ad, that sends a powerful message too, doesn't it?
Huge. Sneed Bavel calls Vogue the Supreme Court of the fashion industry. Its decisions set the tone.
So by running the ad,
They're essentially ruling it as acceptable, she argues. It legitimizes AI models in high fashion, potentially encouraging other brands to jump on board.
okay, wow. So we've covered the history, the tech, the social impact, the economic angle, but Weaver, in his essay, introduces another angle, something almost futuristic.
Yes, this is a really fascinating part of his argument, moving beyond the critiques into a potential scientific application.
Science. How does AI modeling become science?
Weaver proposes that these AI models could offer an unprecedented scientific opportunity, a way to study the very essence of human attraction, empirically.
Okay, intriguing. How would that work? Like, put AI models in lab coats.
Not quite. The idea is to use them as a controlled experimental platform. For centuries, studying beauty has been mostly subjective, philosophy, sociology, observation. AI can make it more like, well, lab science.
Controlled experiments on beauty.
Exactly. You start with a baseline AI model, perfectly symmetrical, representing a statistical average human form, your control group.
Okay, the perfect average, then what?
Then you systematically introduce tiny changes. Independent variables. A slight asymmetry in the smile, maybe. A specific pattern of freckles, altering the exact distance between the eyes by millimeters, changing the jaw angle by degrees.
So you could actually test quantitatively what makes a face appealing or
Yeah.
captivating.
Precisely. You move from guessing or observing to controlled A/B testing. Which exact degree of asymmetry do people find most attractive? Does this specific type of imperfection increase perceived charisma?
You could test all those little unique quirks that people say make someone beautiful, but it's always been hard to prove.
Right. Those things suspected to be the true foundation of captivating beauty. AI provides the perfect, endlessly malleable, ethically uncomplicated subject to test these hypotheses. We could finally get empirical data on the subtle ingredients of attraction.
That's actually a mind-blowing possibility.
Yeah.
Using the unreal to understand the real of attraction.
It's a fascinating potential outcome, for sure.
So given all these different forces at play, social, economic, scientific, Bart, what does the future look like for modeling? Are human models doomed?
Well, the predictions are all over the map, as you'd expect.
Serafine Vlora's founders are probably bullish.
Oh, yeah. Gonzalez and Petrescu believe they'll be even more in demand as the tech gets better. They see AI models becoming a standard part of the toolbox for brands.
But Sneed Bavel, the tech entrepreneur, she has a more balanced view.
She does. She expects to see more AI models, definitely. But she doesn't foresee a future where every model is created by AI. She thinks it'll be a mix, human and AI coexisting.
And she saw some potential positives too, right? Beyond just ad campaigns.
Yeah, she mentioned the idea of personal AI avatars. Imagine creating an avatar of yourself to see exactly how clothes would look and fit on you before buying online.
That would be amazing, like a virtual dressing room tailored perfectly to your body.
It could democratize fashion in a way, letting anybody see ourselves as the fashion models, as she put it, turn the tech towards personal empowerment.
But she also had a final, more cautionary thought about society maybe rejecting this.
Yes, a really provocative idea. She wonders if society might eventually just opt out. If we might become uninterested in AI models precisely because they are so perfect, so unattainable, and so obviously not real.
A kind of authenticity backlash. We crave the human connection, the imperfection.
Maybe. A recoil from the uncanny valley, perhaps, once the novelty wears off. It's a question of whether we fully embrace this engineered perfection or ultimately turn away from it.
Which brings us right back around to Weaver's main point in the uncanny valley of Vogue.
His central idea, that this rise of the AI model, it isn't really the end of fashion photography. It's a mirror.
A mirror forcing us to see what fashion photography already became.
Exactly. Reflecting back the decades of manipulation, the construction of ideals, the move away from authentic portrayal that was already happening with Photoshop, AI just makes it undeniable.
So Serafine Vlora and others like them, they're not just making images, they're creating, maybe unintentionally, a new language for beauty and a potential toolkit for deconstructing it.
Yeah, Weaver suggests they're exposing the machinery, laying bare the artifice that extensive photo editing used to try and hide.
So the final question we leave with you, the listener, isn't just, are AI models okay? It's deeper. It's about what these synthetic ideals teach us about our own reality, about our beautifully imperfect selves.
Right. What does perfection even mean when you can just engineer it from nothing? When it has no human source, no unique story, no flaws?
And how might grappling with that question change how you see beauty, not just in magazines or online, but in the real, messy, wonderfully imperfect people and world around you?
That's definitely some food for thought to take away from this deep dive.